Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Marianne Pinkston.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and here with Ray Solano as our monthly little talk that we give. And he's up in Cedar Park, Texas, near Austin, and owns and runs PD Labs, a compounding pharmacy, which I've been working with Ray for many years now. He's got a lot of knowledge and great things that people, need for everyday use these days, with all of the toxins and infections and all those things out there that is wreaking havoc on our children and adults. A lot of neurological problems. That's kind of where I was hoping to focus today a little bit. A lot of, depression, anxiety, ADD, but we're finding it younger and younger. Kids are being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and the numbers for ADD are going up, and I think that there's more to the story. Do you, Ray? And welcome in. It's nice to see you.
Well, you're exactly right. There's a total soup of mental dysfunctionality. The not only acknowledging that we have all these outlying conditions, because everybody likes having names and diagnosis codes that are reimbursable. Right. But the scary part about it is the solutions are the same that we have seen 20 years ago.
Right.
And on top of it, the number of practitioners that are willing to take on these serious conditions is very limited. And, good luck trying to find somebody within 5 days. It's usually a 5 to 7 week lead time. Absolutely. For specialists that handle, whether it's a psychiatry or a psychologist. The list goes on and on. And unfortunately, the root causes of it are still up for discussion. People just don't want to acknowledge that there's been modifications to the therapeutics.
Absolutely.
That make huge differences.
Yeah.
And it's so, that's why functional medicine has just taken off.
Absolutely. And I did a conference recently with the mental health, IHHM, neurologists and psychologists and even, OB-GYNs with women's health and, family practice and all, just discussing the neurological inflammation that occurs, both with toxin exposure, heavy metals, infections, or with, deluge of stress and trauma for kids, and all those things have a huge impact on the neurological system. And we've just kind of swept it under the rug. You're depressed. Okay, here's your pill. And although those medications work and they help with the symptoms, they don't get to a root cause. And that's what I know you're alluding to, because root cause medicine is where functional medicine, lies and is so helpful, and I think there's been a couple of great people who have worked for a very long time to push, getting to the root cause, but we've continued to ignore it. And now I think things are getting better. And there's many treatments you can do to, work at, getting people better without just pushing a pill, a pharmaceutical.
Well, it comes down to what we'd like to do is make it simple. And that's what we'd like to do is what is so overwhelming. So we make people, first of all, they breathe, relax for a second, and then realize what are the easiest steps to take to do. That we do know the literature is completely full of the gut-brain connection.
Absolutely.
And there is a direct link to the health of your GI tract and your brain, because this is where your neurotransmitters are made in your stomach and your completely GI tract, as well as in the brain. Okay. So once you understand that, the use of only pharmaceuticals is not the first pass.
Right.
It's usually the secondary. However, a neurologist will do the first step in his pharmaceuticals. Psychiatry will do the first step in its pharmaceuticals. However, the literature is supportive. If you take a celiac or a gluten intolerant patient or an inflamed gut patient, and you feed them a tremendous overburden of gluten heavy foods, along with alcohol and processed foods, and with all the other additives on top of that are usually associated with fast food and processed foods, you will have an alteration in your mental health within 3 days. We do know the literature. We studied a lot of work with autism children, and we know brain inflammation. If they get an inflamed gut, it may clear up in 3 days, but the brain inflammation takes over 4 weeks to clear.
Absolutely.
And you tell that to any autistic family, and they'll go, "Yep, that's true." So we really have to pay attention to those inflammatory foods that are causing either a food intolerance, an allergy reaction. And we can do some very comprehensive allergy testing now. Blood tests are very effective. And food intolerance. You don't have to sometimes have a test. Just go on a very simple diet of non-processed foods and have everything freshly made, and stay away from the grains or dairy for 5 days and see if it makes a difference. I mean, it's not very, you don't have to be very sophisticated.
Right.
This is what we try to do is get, I'm thinking about it, it is Monday as we're recording this. If everybody consumed everything that was on TV on Sunday all day long, I promise you, everybody will have some sort of mental health condition on Monday
morning. Exactly. Maybe what's going on with me this morning.
So we're going to have all the three dozen pizzas that are listed on there, on top
Chips
of all the chips and all the vats of beer and all the other substances that you would have. And after 12 hours, I promise you that people won't be showing up to work on Monday.
Right.
And brain fog, you'll have brain fog and you'll have mood problems.
Absolutely.
And it's just, we're just not built that way. We are just not.
Right.
And this is the reason why we try to do something that's simple.
Right. And simplicity is absolutely the best way to approach many of the problems that we have. And it's not simple by just giving a pill. It's simple in its underlying cause. Gut health is something, we've hammered and talked about a lot, and is at the basis of much of the inflammation that occurs in the body, and that relation to, foods and things that we consume, very, very important. And so I think too, there are genetic reasons, right? And underlying genetics play a huge role, things that we actually can test for and see if you're susceptible. Because those who, have something underlying genetic disorders, can get inflamed, and that can turn a gene on, whereas otherwise it may not have, right?
That's right. And there's, yes, there are genetic SNPs, and people have genes that are or can be turned on or turned off. And once we know what those SNPs are, those people are predisposed to some serious mental health challenges that you have to address. Now, the things with genes, whether you have these SNPs, they can be expressed or turned on or turned off. And when you excite them and turn them on with the foods, then you're going to have those occurrences. If you don't turn them on, then their SNPs are there, but certain foods and the lifestyle can make sure that they stay off.
Yeah.
But what we're finding is some genetic tests on a genetic SNPs that make a huge difference in the manufacture of these neurotransmitters.
Mm-hmm.
And phenylalanine is one of those basic neurotransmitters that gets broken down into a number of other neurotransmitters, including some serotonin, dopamine. These are powerful neurotransmitters that affect mood, affect a huge daily activity.
Yeah.
So we've, through some work with Dr. Sharon Cohen and IntelliDX, they've uncovered the defects that cause a unique molecule called BH4, tetrahydrobiopterin. It's one of those central neurotransmitters that in the biological Krebs cycle sector make a huge difference in the manufacture of these neurotransmitters. Yeah. So this is something that, the science is there, and guess what? We figured out a solution. There's a pharmaceutical that has that, is able to satisfy that deficiency and be able to have people with normal lives. And that's what's so exciting about this is the blend of common sense medicine and be able to target the deficiencies of pharmaceuticals. You don't have a Valium deficiency. You don't have many of the SSRIs. There's not a deficiencies in these drugs.
Right.
If you have a compound or a pharmaceutical that's deficient, and figure out a way to get it into the body, and that's what our magic is. Right. We figure out all kinds of ways. Then you have responses. And this is where chemistry really plays a huge role.
Absolutely. And the body, I think if you look at the body as kind of a 500-piece puzzle, and I've said it 1,000 times, there's a one piece is you've got 499 other pieces that we have to put together. And so, you look at it from the basics, putting your gut health together, look at your genetics, doing your genetic testing. And there are many genes. There's MTHFR. I mean, there's so many different things that play a role. And, you just, the nutrition and exercise and all those things, put it all together. And you don't have to have an official diagnosis of depression, right. Anxiety disorders. You can just feel down. You can just feel anxious and, understand that this is tied to all of these different factors, those 500 pieces underneath, and the stressors and everything else you got, your sleep, and, all these neurotransmitters are important for those things. And so, you really have to piece it all together and put out a giant effort, but it's well worth it because this is where you get, the healing and improvement. What types of products, are out there? You mentioned the BH4 and I know there's so many different things. So what types of things are accessible to people?
Let's start with the simple things, the nutraceuticals off the shelf.
Yes.
There's a combination of what I think is one of the most underestimated, powerful, calming herbal product is L-theanine.
Absolutely.
And that's the active ingredient in green tea. And being able to take large quantities of that is able to work on those GABA receptors and calming receptors to get people calmed down. And using L-theanine, it can be safe for elderly, for children. It can be done in tablet form, lozenge, and you could take huge quantities of it just to calm people down. And I think this is there's a big article in a number of journals this last week about propranolol, that people are using that as a drug, Indoral, to really calm people down before speeches.
Yes.
Well, I think sometimes it may work, but there's some others that are very naturally occurring. And I just happen to really enjoy L-theanine as one of the others. And then also, I think I've got a sample here. This is a picture. How do you like this here?
I love this, right?
Okay.
Oh gosh, yes, that's a great brand. It's in all the food stores, Whole Foods and things like
It's
that.
a homeopathy.
Yes.
This is actually these Bach rescue remedies are botanicals from plants
Right.
that are amazing for children and for adults, just to take the edge off.
Right.
That you can have at any one time. So we come up with some blends of L-theanine called Quicom. That's very effective.
Yes.
And seniors. I mean, the most unfortunately, pharmaceuticals that we treat so many seniors for anxiety disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And we use pharmaceuticals to them, and they're very strong, and they change personality, and they make people worse. So there's many different natural remedies that are very effective.
Yes.
If pharmaceuticals are used, you can use those in addition, but small amounts for episodes.
Yeah.
So,
and this is probably a good place to throw that disclaimer, that we're discussing things that you probably need to take back and discuss with your provider and look at your medication list and make sure, that the things that you are doing are okay for you. And of course, we're not, we don't always cure everything, but I tell you what, these are incredibly helpful. That Quicom is amazing. Talk about going before a speech or something, or, just having a really bad day. And I've had, my children for tests or, anxiety. It is absolutely wonderful. So Quicom is a good one.
Quicom. We have it on our website, pdlabsrx.com. If not, just call us and we'll know where to find it. But, these are some natural remedies that are very effective. And the beauty of it is that you can add pharmaceuticals to it.
Yes.
And there's another one that I think is a favorite here. It's a hormone. It's called oxytocin.
Mm-hmm.
And your body makes oxytocin, so that's great. But if your levels are low, you'll be withdrawn, children, adults. They will be not sociable. They'll be very difficult to switch gears. They'll be able to, they don't like to change anything.
Right.
But you can add oxytocin to them. And believe it or not, you can stoke your body to make more by having sometimes people that have horses and animals close by, that increases the oxytocin levels. That close touching and hugs and things like that are also very effective for raising oxytocin levels. Powerful hormone.
Absolutely.
And it's used for contractions in high doses for women for childbirth, but in low doses, you can change behavior of children and adults. Sublingual tablets, oxytocin, is very effective. It does have sexual positive effects at high doses, but at low doses, it's actually a foundational for many autism patients on the spectrum disorder that have a real hard time switching gears and that OCD.
Yeah.
So, but also for mood elevation, you can improve mood tremendously by oxytocin.
Yeah.
So this is something that it's compounded because it's not commercially available, but it's been safe. This is get people off of a crisis situation.
Absolutely.
So I think people need to look at oxytocin. Just because it's not on a pharmaceutical shelf for that, it's on the shelf for IV form, for helping for contractions for moms. We see, however, using lower doses, it has a whole different effect. So look about oxytocin.
Yeah. I think that is absolutely a great one. A very wide spectrum of things that you can do. You just need somebody who knows how to dose it correctly and perfect. So good one, Ray. Thank you. Absolutely. And I tell patients sometimes that, oxytocin has been around since Cleopatra. I mean, it's been used for, I don't know that for a fact, but it's been used for a very, very, yeah. Grind up a little pig pituitary or something. You never know. But I think, I'm just kidding. But I think that it has been around a very long time and extremely safe. And so very
we
good.
use it to augment. It has in certain high doses, 200 mics or more for pain, to alleviate pain.
Nice.
So, we have a lot of practitioners coming up to us and shows us, well, how do I dose this? And so that's why working with a compounding pharmacy, you'll be able to, that's familiar with oxytocin. It's sometimes not easy to work with. However, with people that are trained, guess what? It's not very expensive, less than $100 a prescription.
Right, which is also very helpful. Yeah. Well, fantastic, Ray. What else? I know we touched a little bit on BH4, so let's touch on that a little further.
Yeah, BH4, tetrahydrobiopterin, has been used in high doses in phenylalanine disorders and many other rare genetic disorders. Mm-hmm. However, we have found that it is a missing link in the production of dopamine and serotonin because people have the genetic SNP that can easily be tested. Mm-hmm. So about a small percentage of the population do respond to it, and they respond miraculously. And that's important. And we figured out being able to repackage the brand pharmaceutical, a generic pharmaceutical in bulk, and put it into capsules, and put it into small 2.5 milligram capsules. Wow. We had working with your colleague, Dr. Sharon Cohen, has written a paper on BH4, and soon to be published. But she came to us and said, moms are sitting there playing chemists and dosing these out with scales. I said, can you guys come up with unit dose, 2.5 milligram capsules, and as a special way to make sure that they don't oxidize? We figured it out. And it makes a huge difference. And patients take 1 to 3 a day. And I just had somebody come in this Saturday, and she said how it's changed. She has the deficiency, and her daughter does as well. And it's been the most important thing for leveling their moods. Wow. Especially during cycles. Yeah. They've been put on birth control pills, but that didn't fix that wasn't the problem. No. The deficiency in BH4 was the problem. It wasn't a hormone deficiency. So when you get to the root cause, and we train physicians like we have, you can really make a difference in people's lives by targeting the deficiency. BH4 deficiency can easily be resolved.
Yes, and that is super. The testing for it is easy. There are some tests, and I know Dr. Cohen has a test. You just need to find a provider. I'm sure their website will provide that. And I'll put that on the website so that patients and people can look that up. But there are tests for many other things too. Your risk of dementia and other neurological problems that can come later on from chronic inflammation as well. And so I know we need to take a very short break, Ray, but I want people to know where to find you and more information. So let us hear it.
Yeah, check out our website, pdlabsrx.com. It's pdlabsrx.com. And we got a full service website that has a lot of these resources. So check it out. If you want to call us, 512-219-0724. Option 2, that's 512-219-0724.
Yep. And you have a podcast too, right? You guys have a
Dr. Talks. Check us out on Dr. Talks. Yeah. We got some award-winning guests that, looking at groundbreaking research in this area of longevity medicine, the fastest growing, the biggest growth in medicine that we have out here, because guess what? It fixes the problem.
That's right. Well, thank God for that. And of course, we've got all of our previous shows at drpbetterlife.com, but you can go into there and look up Ray and all his information there in one click, and you're off to PD Labs. So drpbetterlife.com. We will take a short break and be right back to discuss.
Hi, this is pharmacist Ray Solano with your Healthy Choices Minute, sponsored by PD Labs Pharmacy. Freedom to choose your physicians in medicine is a practice celebrated in this country forever. Today, the public has spoken, and the FDA reversed its removal of natural thyroid as a proven pharmaceutical. Yes, victory for patients everywhere currently on thyroid medication. PD Labs Pharmacy is dedicated to patients' choice for personalized medicine shown to improve the quality of life and reverse many chronic diseases like mold, Lyme, cognitive decline, and of course, rebalance your hormones. PD Labs is a nationally licensed compounding pharmacy, and we serve patients everywhere. Check out our website, pdlabsrx.com, or call us today at 888-909-0110 and mention this ad, and we'll give you $25 toward your discount of natural thyroid medication. And our website is pdlabsrx.com. Call us at 888-909-0110. Remember, you have a choice in healthcare.
That's a good picture of you, Ray. Nice.
Nice. Well, we it's sometimes better late than never, because it's been a year since we put that together. So
that's wonderful. It's a good one. So thank you for that. I wanted to mention, as we were talking about hormones and women and whatnot, progesterone. Not to leave out progesterone and what it can do for sleep and anxiety and things like that. And so would you explain?
That's a great point, because many times as females go through their hormone cycle for a month, huge swings in deficiencies in estrogen or in the progesterone can have tremendous psychological dysfunctionality. And it really is not needed. There are sometimes botanicals that can be taken, vitas. There's also many times excessive estrogens can be balanced with calcium D-glucarate. However, sometimes just supplementing progesterone is very safe. The same molecule your body makes 2 weeks out of a month can make an enormous difference. Absolutely. Inexpensive. Sometimes it's available in small concentrations without a prescription. What we like to be able to do is tailor it personalize it to the patient. But progesterone is sometimes the most important one to help with balancing and sleep. Getting a simple blood test, you can determine if you're up or down. But many times people have excessive amount of estrogens. And if you look down and you see that, I guess belly fat is probably the single biggest hormone disruptor that we have in our society, male and female. And I think what's best is if you look at old films in the 40s and 50s, you didn't see anybody with excessive body fat, belly fat. And so I think it's important that these endocrine disruptors for male and female, you really have to do whatever you can to get rid of that, because it's, those are a big source of excessive estrogens for male and female. Absolutely. So we're going to lead to prostate dysfunction for men. We're going to lead to excessive risk of breast cancer for women. So I think you should look at that excessive belly fat and say, emergency, let's do something about it.
Absolutely. And it is wide. I think 93% of people now are metabolically disrupted, so to speak. That is very serious. That means 7% of people have, normal body fat distribution. And you don't have to be obese for that or significantly overweight for that to have an effect. Like you say, that increase in belly fat. So if you measure around your waist, and there are things that you can look up and know kind of if you are over the limit of where you should be.
Ratio.
Yeah, absolutely. And so very easy thing that we can measure in office as well. And you can do at home and see if you are in that 93%. Many are, and it's getting worse. I hope we don't ever reach 100, because that would include me.
Well, the dysfunction or the misunderstanding, the lack of education is enormous in our society. And it really has very little to do with exercise. Yeah, it's usually a microbiome dysfunctionality in the gut that causes every single grain of rice or grain of carbs is immediately deposited in fat. So you could be you can starve yourself for short times and still gain weight. So there's a metabolic dysfunctionality there. So it is not solely on lack of exercise. So I think it's just really important to get with a dietitian, get with one of our trained practitioners. And guess what? We figured it out along with your team. We've come up with just the secret solution to get your life back. And, you can drop 50 pounds and be healthy.
Right. Absolutely. I tell people if you could at least get to 20% of your, eliminate 20% of your body weight, you are making significant changes there. And so big one. And gut always is involved underneath. It has its ties to anything inflammatory in the body.
That's right. It's all linked together.
Absolutely. I think one more thing we can touch on a little bit is the problem of ADD. ADD, ADHD. We used to just diagnose it in children, kind of small percentages of the population. But now it seems like everybody has it. And I think some people include some of the brain fog and, forgetting words and lack of motivation and being able to get projects done and whatnot and include that as a diagnosis. And that's not really true. There are reasons for that. But in ADD, another, I feel, brain inflammatory problem, what are some things that people can do?
Well, I think the first step is stop eating inflammatory foods. If you got ADD symptoms, your gut is inflamed.
Yes.
And so you have to change your intake of inflammatory foods, because that inflamed gut is causing many of those ADD symptoms. So you can take all the pharmaceuticals, you can take all the Adderall and all the that you want, you will have a rebound effect that causes that. So it has to occur to removing those inflammatory foods from every meal.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great start. And then we came up with a antidote to that brain inflammation. It's we call it the RG3 ginsenoside. Is the active ingredient in Synapsin.
Yes.
And Synapsin in nasal sprays or drops or chewable tablets makes a huge difference in that reducing that brain inflammation.
Yes.
And we work with Shine Pediatrics for our autism and pediatric kids, because they had that genetic SNP for methylation defects.
Yes.
So we put this combination. Synapsin nasal spray is a great start, but there's many things you could do to reduce those ADD symptoms instead of pharmaceuticals. You can still add pharmaceuticals if you choose to,
sure,
but you probably will use 1/5 of the dose.
Right.
But you know what? You have to see. Oh, by the way, what did you eat in the last 3 days?
Right. Yeah.
Well, if you have inflamed grains, you have inflamed adult beverages and inflamed processed foods as your mainstay, believe me, it'll take a long time to change.
Yes.
And if you get 2 hours sleep at night, you'll have those symptoms.
Absolutely.
But I think it's not an easy solution, but we don't need a population with 30% ADD.
Right. No, I did that. People say we've just improved our diagnosis capability, and I don't agree with that. I think it's misdiagnosed, and I think there's a better way. And thank you for touching on that. Big one.
Go to the airport, sit in line for 2 hours, like I had to this last week. And as my colleague Jim Laval says, good luck trying to find a broccoli shop.
Exactly.
At the airport, good luck.
Yeah, and nobody craves broccoli, but that's where we should be. Absolutely, Jim. Oh goodness. Well, so what have we left out? Is there anything that I didn't bring up that you feel?
I think a lot of the work that you're doing with your new website, I think is helpful to get the women's health. Telehealth is so easy to do today.
Absolutely.
To be able to get answers and be able to do it within your busy work style, because I think this is something to seek out to your office, to our office, and at least get some answers. And you know what? Spend a little bit of your excess of, not excess, but some of your money that you'll be spending on all that food, and get some of that counseling on how to get your health back,
And now that you bring it up, that seemed to be I spent 13 years being obese and back and forth in the yo-yo dieting, and what that does to people is insane. And, what I learned is I needed a lot of support, and I was trying to do it myself. A doctor who was not trained in that area, doctors are not trained in nutrition and exercise. And so, trying to figure it out on my own. And so I did reach out finally to people who were able to help, and surrounded myself, with people who understood nutrition and exercise, but also underlying eating patterns, eating disorders. And so I've been doing weight loss for a very, very long time, since I was finally successful at it, and decided that that's the approach I was missing, though, the surrounding support. So yes, you are right. We did with Jennifer Soroji, we put that together. It's called New Bloom. So it's NUBLOOM. And if you put my in front of it, New Bloom. So if you put my in front of it, so MYNU, BLOOM.com, you can look it up and see what we're doing. We're doing we are treating men and women. Men tend to think, stay away from programs and whatnot, but some men are very involved. We got some husbands who come in with their wives, and so we treat men and women, but definitely women 35 and older, kind of the crowd that follows the podcast. And so, if you're interested, definitely go take a look and see. We are happy to help. And so, where can we find all your information?
Well, check out our website, pdlabsrx.com, and we'll be able to answer your questions, and at least to refer you either to our clinic or be able to have one of our pharmacists kind of give you a little mini consultation as to the steps. By the way, if you're drinking a liter of diet Coke or Pepsi a day, and your Mountain Dew is your favorite beverage, and Papa John's pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it doesn't take a lot of very expensive consultation to really realize that, you probably may need to make some dietary changes.
Yes, that is definitely one of the biggest things.
It happens, believe me.
It does. Oh gosh, it happens to everybody. We do that too. I mean, I'm the poster child of eating well and doing all those things, but I mean, we all do it. But some people do it to excess. So we need to get a handle on that, and happy to help. That's for sure. So I know the Laval Performance Health and Jim Laval and Laura Laval have put together, and everybody has put together a great program over there. So New Bloom and us and you at the pharmacy. So you've got lots of people to reach out to, lots of great personalized programs that you reach out to.
Well, it's great having me. Well, thanks for having us today. And check out our website, pdlabsrx.com, and our Doctor Talks podcast.
Please.
Great information. It's free. Just check it out.
Yes,
Healthy Choices on Doctor Talks.
Absolutely. And then DRP, betterlife.com. You can find all of our previous shows and great information. And I appreciate you, Ray, very much, all that you do for me and for people out there. You are a lifesaver for real. So we appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And everybody, I hope you have a great week, and please take care of each other out there.
Take care.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.